We got a big old mobile suite. So you can see we already got it all covered up. You guys are moving along pretty good. So we're gonna rip her up. This shoulder here, what they do is they just use staples in here, and a lot of times it causes it to come loose. You know, but that's what you're seeing right there. So right here it seems like it's down, but we're gonna pull all the decking up and we're gonna check it. You see all this roof, all these bubbles in here. It's not glued down in there. That's it. I don't like rubber at all. All the years we did commercial work, I didn't install one roll of this crap because we were always people calling us up to fix it. So we're going to take it up and we're going to inspect underneath it and make sure it's okay. I think we got to run some wires and fix some of that stuff. And anyways, we got a satellite dish up here. So as you can see the air conditioner, how low it is. Underneath there's a foam gasket, and what happens is all the debris and branches and dust and all the dirt and everything gets in there. It'll dry that gasket out. We really need to change those gaskets every couple of years. But when we put a curb up on there, we won't have any of those issues for sure. Also, it drains from there, so when all that dirt and everything gets clogged in there, then it'll back up and it'll go in, and then it gets into the roof deck from the inside this way, and then it starts rotting everything out. So I don't know if that's the case with that, but you know, we've just seen that happen quite a bit. So you see, I love this Dicor. See how it's all cracked in there? They want you to put more on. That's what they want you to do. That's our cash cow. I think that's why they don't sponsor us, because I keep ragging on them. I mean, it would be pretty hard for me to do a promo for Dicor, that's for sure. Another hole here. We're going to fix all this. I don't want all these wires here. They just tend to trap water and stuff. I want water to come off the roof. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to rip all this up and get a new roof on it. I haven't seen any tears so far, but even like this right here, you know, they're going to want you to put some more in there. And what happens is, like with this Dicor, it's just a putty, basically, a butyl, and they usually have an acrylic coating on it. And that acrylic coating, when it starts to fail and crack out, then you get these galleys that are underneath there, because the UV light will break down the butyl. And then when it does do that, then you get all these galleys. You can see someone's already put a couple of licks on here. They've already put more on. So but that's what they want you to do. They exploit people's ignorance to roof systems. These are not the way you do a roof. If you were to look up on you know, whatever, Google, BitChute, or not BitChute, but DuckDuckGo, if you were able to get on there, just keyword in there commercial roof images, and you'll see that here's what I was talking about. So just Google commercial roof images, and you'll see that the air conditioners and, you know, the even plumbing, but all the air conditioners, the vents and things like that, they're going to be up on what they call a curb. It's basically a box. It has a flashing on it, and it has counter flashing on it, and that's what I did. I just modified all these curbs so they fit and form and function properly for, you know, an RV. You can't buy them. I have to fabricate every single one of them. You can't buy them. They don't make them. So, and then even the plumbing or electrical and things that come up through the roof like that, you're going to find that they're in a little boot, and there's a special sealer that they use and so forth, and that's what we do. So literally, we're putting on a mini commercial roof. I guess we do have a little bit of a patch right here. So, but that's what we're doing. We're putting on literally a commercial roof. So trying to see what I do with my little knife there. There it is. Like I said, we always take these roof decks up because we want to check up underneath there. There's another mobile suites. Hey, over there. There goes my pencil. Hey, that's just got little staples in it. They just put the little tiny staples in there. See them? And then they pop loose. There's no glue underneath there at all to hold it down. We're gonna try and salvage these, and if we can, that'd be awesome, because they seem like they may pop up pretty easy. Sometimes they get real squirrely, but you know, if we have to, we'll fabricate some new ones. But sometimes trying to get these out, it'll be all jagged, and you just can't get it to lay smooth. But that being said, we're going to try to salvage it, and then whichever ones we put on, new ones or these, they'll be glued, and then they'll be fastened down. So now at least I know there's something up underneath there to hold it tight. You know, so because these things rack and flex and twist so much that you're taxing the fasteners, and I'm 99% sure that this deck is not glued down. So the last one we did, it wasn't glued down. I think this is a 2017. So got a big old patch on here. So that seemed to work so far. We got them here. So that's about it. So we got a whole bunch of stuff on here that we got to do. I think he was talking about putting solar on here too. I don't know where we're going to put it, but boy, there's a lot of stuff on this already. So, all right, well, let us get to work, and then we will show what we got coming. Look at the size of those bolts they got holding that down. There's one right there. They put these big nuts on there. Wow. We don't know what they go to though. We gotta find out. So now we've got, looks like a couple of blue wires right there. They just don't go to anything. They just don't go to anything. So what we do is we mark everything so we know where they go back. And then we plop her back down when we're ready to go. But this one, this is the rear one. This is the furthest rear. There's their back end. All right, this is what we got. So now we're gonna just check all the trunk lines. We're gonna make sure they're all taped up well. And no glue. No glue. No glue, no glue, no glue. And I'm gonna show you a video. But I wanna check stuff like this. I wanna make sure I don't really like that too much. And we'll put another licker on there. And then we'll check the other side too to make sure they're all set. And we got to run some wires too. So we got a whole bunch. Look at this, all this squiggly mess, huh? Wow. I'll bet that doesn't interrupt any reception at all. Not sure, but I know when you take an electrical cord and you wire it all up and spin it like that, it doesn't work well. I'm wondering if that's about the same. So we'll come over here, like I said, and we're going to check. Hey, there you go. There's one right there. There's one right there. All right, so this is the decking we took off. This is the decking right here. And this was the shoulder, so they did have something on there, even though down there it was loose when I showed you earlier. They had something on that just didn't hold. This is 3/8. That's 3/8 decking. Let's see. We need one of them fancy taping measures. A fancy one if you got it. Yeah, that'll work. One you got. Sure, 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 sure. Hurry, 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 hurry. Camera's rolling. All right.
No pictures, please.
This is 3/8. See? You see the 1/2 inch line, and it doesn't reach that. It's not 1/2 inch. And it's not glued. So, the customer, when he first came to us and said, hey, we got to, he wanted a price on the roof. So we gave him a price, told him that we're going to take the deck up because they're not glued down. They need to be glued down. And he says, no. He says, I don't need all that. Mobile suites, they screw it all down and they glue it all down. It's done. So, and you can see right here, let me try, where'd that fancy tape measure go? Back here again. So, I'm trying to show you that it will say whatever they have to do to sell something. So here's that screw hole right there. This one is the one I'm looking at, right there. That's the screw they used. And let's come all the way down here. There's another one right here at the edge. Let's check to see how far apart that is. 22 inches. 22 inches. Where's the next one? Up here. Here's the next one. Right here. Alright, see? Nothing there. What's this one? Oh, that one's that's about 25. It's about, if I'm right there on that line, it's about 25. So what I'm getting at is they just throw a few screws going across here. And again, it's not glued down. So anyhow, again, the customer says, hey, no, Mobile Suites does a great job. They can put it all together. We already did a Mobile Suites. So I knew that he wasn't, there's a code to my phone if you ever find it. All right. So this is it right here. I'm going to bring it back just a little bit. So what they say they did is they start by putting these trusses in. Because, I don't know, it's only a minute long, I guess, minute 29. But they said that they put these in. And then what they do is they put in the insulation, and which makes it an R25. And let's see what else I got.
Creating a solid platform.
Hopefully you can hear that.
Easily allow you to walk all over.
Oh, go back a little bit. We'll go back here.
R25 insulation.
There's the R25 insulated.
Then 1/2 inch residential plywood.
1/2 inch residential plywood.
The entire roof.
It's not on there. There's no 1/2 inch. And they also said, go back.
The final that is screwed and glued.
Screwed and glued. Screwed and glued. Right here at a minute, about a minute.
Residential plywood is screwed and glued.
Yep, at 1 minute mark.
Creating a solid platform.
Guess what, Mobile Suites? You lied. You lied.
To complete the roof construction will be a high.
And this isn't a cheap coach either.
Or a fully molded fiberglass roof to seal and protect the roof
Yeah.
for years.
For years to come. This is a 2017. Years is plural, so this is 2022. So yeah, we got 5 years out of it. Not even 5 years. I'll bet we probably got 4.5. But anyhow, so now we're going to check all this. We're going to move all this insulation out of the way, and we're going to check everything, check all the trunk lines, check all that. I may put that link right in there so you guys can watch it, or maybe I'll do a better video. I don't know if you can hear it over my big Bluetooth speaker there. But like I said, I want to check all these and everything. And then we got to run some wires anyways for solar. We got solar going on here. And then I think we're going to take this squiggly and we're going to, it already come up here. So I got solar going all the way, like right here, all the way down. And then I got 2 more panels over the other side. So here's a coax anyways. So I'm going to take this coax. Look at that bundle of coax over there. Gee whiz, a bowl of spaghetti right there. That's satellite. So we're going to leave the satellite where it's at, but we're going to, like I said, I think the solar is over that way. We're going to check that out and see where that goes. So we got to get some stuff prepped up before we actually put the decking on. So we're going to get all this insulation off here. But Mobile Suites, you don't put 1/2-inch decking on here and you didn't glue a darn thing, and you put just a few screws in there. You're no better than anybody else. This roof, and it's a shame because I know this coach, brand new, probably rocked out at about $120,000. I know the last one we did, that's what it rocked out at. And this roof is no better than a $20,000 bumper pole. That's a shame. You should be ashamed of yourself for lying to your customers. All right, let me, oh, by the way, do you want to sponsor this video? All right, let's see the high quality aluminum trusses they put in. So they got these at like a T-truss, is really what it is. They're real flimsy. I think on the side here it says Coca-Cola or something on there. The other one, Pepsi. They're just like recycled stuff. That's all it is. They're real flimsy. So some of the, look at it here on this one. And that's because all they did was put the snot booger out there. That's all they did. Little snot weld on that one. This one seemed to have held. So we're going to have to flinch plate that back together. And then they couldn't get it down in this ductwork, so they crushed it. That's why it's like that. They forced it down there instead of putting an extension on it. I don't know if there's a duct under there. There's no duct under this one. I don't see one under there. So there's really no reason why it had to taper and come down like that. But that does look like it's been molded for that. But it just, all this tape, look at that. All the tape coming loose, right? This one, see the tape out there? Coming loose. All that air comes back up into this so-called, what I call the attic area, you know? So, look how flimsy these are. They just kind of put a little, that's just crimped. That's not welded. That's just crimped. See the rivets in there? Ping, ping, ping. That's all they do. And they put a little zip weld there. And they got one on there. But that one there didn't fare too well. They just got that one up underneath here. So when you twist these enough, you know, if you did, and again, that's why you want to glue it down. Because when these things rack and twist and flex, they break these loose. They break them loose. All they do is just put little zip welds on them. You know, snot, I call them snot welds because they look like little boogers. So this one here, I don't think that's supposed to be. This thing is all crookified. We could probably do too much. They got a block of wood under there. That may be for the duct. I don't know. But it probably wouldn't hurt to put another one underneath there so it stays straight. More tape bag. More tape bag. You're doing an awesome job there, Mobile Suites. Come on, sponsor us. Look at there. All that air coming back up into the attic. So. Oh yeah, I think I know where all the money came from. That it cost for this thing. This is what we found in here. Under the roof. We found a pocket full of these. These got to be worth, what, $1,000 a piece. Charging all that extra money for these little plastic pieces. But maybe we'll get some good use out of them. We could use them for bushings like they did. They've got the bushings in there. That's pretty good because normally there's a ferrule down there. So I like that idea. But the rest of it is just kind of flimsy. You know. So there's another 2017 that we get up on there. The other thing I was looking for is I wanted to see, I see all this framing up underneath here, and I'm wondering if they got that through into the those bolts. Those bolts were huge. I don't know if they actually got them into the 2x4s. One of my guys says that it went into the sheathing. It never went into the boards. So I was trying to look at that. Here's another one. Here's another one. And that only holds the air conditioner, so that's not so bad, you know. But it's like there's quite a few on the other side too. See, top quality. And I'm thinking this is a solar. I'm not sure, so we got to find out. Normally they do put a solar up here. The last one we did, it had a plumbing here in this corner, and it was kind of weird because there's nothing for plumbing, so I had to call Mobile Suites, and they said, no, that's just for the solar. So, but I don't know if that looks like it's heavy and gauge enough for the solar or not, but I guess we'll find out when we go get some wire. But it does look heavier than 12 gauge. So, and then we come around this side. Here's another one. See, the other side is broke too. This is the same one for the air conditioner. Right here, that's broke. Got tape right there, loose. Got tape right here, loose. You can see that gap right there. Right there. Let's see what we got going. Oh, look at that mess right there. That's a big old gap. Man, I guess we're going to have a lot of tape on this one, that's for sure. So, like I said, we were just checking all the wires. Well, I'm satisfied that they're at least protected. I don't really care for the way that's all kinked up like that. It doesn't seem like it should be that way, but it'll still go. But see how it kind of kinks it around there? I don't know why it just didn't come in this way and bring it from here down and bring it from there to just make a nice smooth transition instead of doing this twirl and kinking the wire up. So, but like you said, this was our he had a line guard automatic antenna, so that's what all this is. So we'll be relocating that because I've got the solar going on here. The solar's got a couple of panels here, a couple of panels there, and I have to figure out a drop for it too. We don't wire them up, but we do prep them all for you if you want them. And then again, checking the tape. You know I'm doing a video, right? There, look at there, just peels right up. It's cheap. That's cheapest. Again, like I said, I mean, especially the amount of money you pay for these things. And they brag about how, you know, you watch the video and, oh yeah, we do a top-notch job of that roof, yeah, for years to come. Yeah, I guess we got a difference of definition on years. So, but, so I was looking up here, and I don't see those. There should be a couple bolt holes through there. Ah, there it is. Went right through the truss right there to hold the air conditioner down. Totally missed the block. So at least I got some stock in there that I can use. And then I got to make sure these are all. He's got a couple of screws on there, so I'll make sure all that's sound before we put it on. We got one screw there. We may have to add another one, and I don't know what's on the other side of this, how they got that screwed in. So I have to check that when I'm too short to reach it. But they just put a couple of screws here to hold this. There's nothing going in this way to hold it. Same with that one. Yeah, this is a shame. It really is. Like I said, for the amount of money that you spend on these things, you know. Trying to see what that is. I don't know what it is. Look like a wrapper, like a Reese cup wrapper to me. I don't know what it is. I don't think I can reach it. Let's see. There it is. It's wedged in there pretty good. It does look like a wrapper of some sort. I don't know if it's in there holding something up. I'll take it apart and it's holding something up. Maybe it's there to prop up the ductwork. But it seemed like they glued it in there. Like I said, this here is all falling apart. So, that's your duct line. You see how it goes all the way through? That's a duct line right here. So I've got to, we're gonna have to seal that off a little better. And this is the duct line right here. Doesn't look like there's anything there. Maybe an intake. That's probably what it is, an intake. But look at all the gapping right there. That's Get them built, get them out, get them sold. That's what they do, no matter how much you spend for them. You know, so I'm glad we tore this roof up though, and because like I said, it's a shame. But I know the customer, he was really adamant about it. You know, about them gluing it down, and he felt that they were telling him right. So but I've done enough of these where I know they're going to lie. They're going to say whatever they can, market whatever they can. They don't expect you to tear this up, and by that time they don't care because you already gave all your money. It don't matter. So, all right, well, let us figure out some stuff here, some wires. We got to run all that, and we got to tape all this stuff up, and we got to fix all these trusses, yada yada yada. So I'm gonna have to get some steel and try to wrap it around there. I don't know, man. I get some aluminum. I'm gonna wrap it with aluminum. You know, then I don't have anybody giving me some comments saying you can't wrap the steel around the aluminum because it will cause galvanization. But if you use galvanized steel, I think you'd be all right. But like I said, I got aluminum anyways. I'm gonna have to horseshoe this around. We'll put a plate up here and screw it back. You know, glue it down too. I mean, that's just, I'll figure something crafty out without tearing up a wallet, that's for sure. So, look at there. Ta-da! More air coming into the attic. All right, cool. Well, we already walked around this thing. Let's get to work. Well, we got all the ductwork all taped up. We've got all that done. And boy, oh boy, there was a whole bunch of it. I'll tell you, we took a lot of time. Almost every single joint on here was compromised. And then I'm looking at this over here. They ran this wire around here. And I don't know if I can show you, but it's already, let's see if I can get in there. See, it's already scored. So we gotta fix that. And we're going to bring it around here. I don't know why they never went down through there. That would have been the path to less resistance right there. So I got to check that out. I think there was another one over here. No, there's not one here and here. But that's what I'm going to be looking for. Here's our solar wires. So we got to figure out what we're going to do the drop on it so we can get going. And then that's about it. But we taped up everything. And then the other thing we did, all these wires right here, we put a little piece of aluminum on there. These things are just foam, and what happens is just the sheer weight of the wire will rub a hole in it. So what we did is just put a little piece of aluminum on and, you know, taped it on there just to protect the wire from digging a hole in the ductwork. You know, there's a whole bunch of grooves in there. Then all your air is coming up back into the attic area. So I already showed you this squirrely mess. I'm not so keen on that, but this is why we like to open them up so we can see what they did. Now these are supposed to be the solar wires right here and over there too. You can see them right over there. And those aren't connected either, but they do run down over here and they go in here. And if those are solar wires, that's only 12 gauge wire. They're using the same size wire for that little light. I don't think that's going to be heavy enough to carry solar, and if it is, it would be a small solar. It's not going to be a big one. This is the antenna for the TV. We're going to move that antenna up here because the antenna was down there, but we're going to put solar down there. So we also got blockers we got to put in here anyways, and find out where we're. So we have something to screw to because it's going to be really close to the edge where we put the solar panels. So I want to make sure they're down there pretty good. You know, they're mounted well. So we already negotiated all that out because it's going to be pretty close to, like I said, to the edge. Other than that, you know, like I said, I didn't agree with it. Oh, maybe it's that one there, over there. Get this ladder out of my way. I want to check those wires over there. We got a nice catwalk. We got nice railings. You know. If you're going to do this for a living, you need to have this stuff. This is the one here that's not connected to anything either. So, but it looks a little thin. But I want to check these wires out. They look like these are okay. So it's just that one back down that way that doesn't look so well. So, but like I said, we taped up everything. We taped up everything. These are a filter or an intake for the AC, and that was just all open. So we taped all those. And man, oh man, I mean, they just. And also, these are not 16 on center, so that's not a good thing. We got to negotiate the break on them to make sure they come out proper. You know, I put a tape measure to it, and they're off enough. And this one here, it's got a little squirreliness to it, so we got to try and get. These are so flimsy. I mean, you can see how cheap they are. So we're going to try to put a stretcher across here to make sure, try to chase them all back to 16. Because when we go to put the plywood on, they're just going to want to move around. So we're probably going to have to put a strip of aluminum all the way down the whole thing in the center to just make sure we can get them all even. So once we get one that's even, like this one, and we start here 16, and you can see just that little bit will make a difference on the brake. If you look here, see they weren't breaking that well. You know, they weren't breaking so good. So we can try and do that. But we want to make sure it gets on there better than what they had, that's for sure. Alright, what we're going to try and do is we're trying to get these true and square. So we're going to run it all the way down. We want to get the insulation in first, so but we're going to be running that down there. So just looking at this, they started marking some of them out. I'll go on the other side. That's where I did a better job marking them out, I guess. But these are supposed to be 16 on center. Now this one is 16 and an eighth. This one's 15 and an eighth. Then you come over here, and this one's 15 and 3/4. That's 16. In between here, 16 and a quarter, 16 and a quarter. So there's already a ½ inch off. Now you got another 15 and 3/4. They're not laid out 16 on center like Mobile Suite says they are. There's 16, and you may not think that's a big difference, but I'll tell you, you take 1/8 of an inch 8 times, you've just lost an inch, and you're not going to be breaking on here. So we marked all these because we're going to get them all true, but I'm probably going to have to put some stretchers on here so they're a little wider, at least on a couple of spots to make up some of the difference. We may have some that'll land, and then we may have one that'll land here, for instance, but it may come out to here by the time we do the decking. I don't know. But what I'll have to do is put a stretcher on there so it'll have some stock to carry so we can put some strength back into it. So that's a possibility. So, or we may have to just rip down a few pieces shorter, I guess. I don't know. But we'll figure all that when we start decking it. 16 and a quarter, 15 and 3/4, 16 and a quarter. Got one 16, a couple of 16 so far. There's another 8, 16 and an eighth, 16, 15 and 3/8. That's kind of shy. 16 and a quarter. That's 16 and an eighth, 16 and 3/8, 16 and a quarter. That's 13 and 7/8, and then we got 15 and a quarter. So, and we ran our Winegard antenna right here. We're going to put it right there, the automatic antenna. And then we were able to run our solar. We got the solar wires up. We were able to run them down that plumbing pipe. I think it was this one over here. There they are. They're sitting up over there. Those are the solar wires. So we'll have those. And I may move them over. I got to see how all this works out when we lay the roof out, because there's just so much on this roof. So that's what we're working with right now, but these numbers are not right. And then here's the irony to it. If I go over to the other side and I ask one of the guys over there, the numbers aren't matching up. Like on this side, I doubt over there that it's 16 and a quarter. I doubt it. They're kind of crookified a little bit. And again, when you put your decking on, it's going to make a difference. It'll make a difference trying to get them to lay out proper. We want to keep these straight. You don't want them crooked. If they're crooked, they lose their strength. These are designed to perfectly down. You know, and they got to be true that way. You know, they got to be plumb. These ones, all of them, if they're crooked like that, they lose their strength, and what'll happen is they'll end up crippling out. And we don't want to have that. I've done quite a few Winnebagos, and Winnebago they have a ply foam roof. What they do is just cut a slot in the foam, and they just drop a piece of 16 gauge flat stock. It's just flat, and then on the end they give it a couple of twists so they'll have something to screw down to. And what happens is, and they don't glue it or anything, and they start crippling in like this way on these Winnebagos, and then the roofs start to sag. So it's just a piss poor design. But you know, they just do whatever's easier. They do whatever's easier, and this is why I'm calling out Mobile Suites, because this coach, I know we had one in here before, and I believe the 2017 that guy had, if this is the same exact model, I'm not quite sure, but I know the one he had, which looks very, very similar to this, I think he said he paid $120,000, or at least that was a ticket on it, put it that way. And he had some trade-ins and all this other stuff that he did, but he said the ticket on it was $120,000. Now, if you're spending $120,000, then you really need to. If you're spending, that's our time to go alarm. If you're spending 120 grand, I would expect better quality. I certainly would. You know, even this flimsy. I almost said a bad word. That's stuff right there. But anyhow, all right, well, we're about ready to clean up. We'll get back at it. Look at there, new roof deck. Alrighty. That's 1/2-inch plywood. That's what it is. This is 1/2-inch BC plywood. We got it all screwed. We took the time to line it all out. So these screws are every 10 inches all the way down there. You know, obviously in all the studs. We glued the bejesus out of it. You can see right there. Not just on the edge. I mean, every truss is all glued. That's for sure. We'll make sure we get good glue on there. So then when there's a little bit of gapping or whatever, we just filled it in. And there's nothing we can do because the trusses were running off a little bit. That one's 16, but some of these other ones, that one's 16, it's 15 3/4, and just even that little bit, like I was explaining before, it throws it off. But like I said, we've got plenty of adhesive on these things. That's for sure. And all buried up in there. Like I said, I wanted to mark them all out, so I know exactly how many screws I got in there. They had like 20-something inches. That's ridiculous. So we put them 10, and then we got our shoulders going on, and then we'll probably get one more right here at the edge, you know, to hold that down. So that's us so far. We gotta get some strips on here and get some roofing on here. Okay, so I come up here and I look at the roof, and what I'm looking at is some of these trusses aren't exact, and what's happening, move this down, see the gap right there, right here. Ooh, that's a big gap. I don't like it, and when I put the shoulder on there, it needs to be pretty close, much better than that, you know. Got to keep it real close. So what we did is we shimmed up to make it tighter. And then there's still like a couple little spots right here. And I can't go down and keep cutting every individual block, so we'll just get another shim under here. We're just going to glue it in. It'll be fine. We'll put a couple staples in there. But what I'm trying to do is just make sure that roof line looks right. So when you look down the side of the coach, it doesn't look like, you know, a roller coaster. So, and again, some of it could be these trusses here. We did one where we had, remember it was a Class A, and way down the back end on the same area, it dipped quite a bit. And come to find out, these are, let's see if I get one, I'll move down this way. These little plates right here that they use to bring this together and this piece together, those are called gussets. And they cut the gussets, they were 3/8 of an inch off. So I had to break them apart and, you know, make some new gussets and put them all back together. It just didn't look right. You look down the whole roof, everything looked great until we got this big dip going down. So it was weird. So I kept measuring everything, and that's how I found out those gussets were off. So like I said, I just released them, and then once I cut them, they went boom, they come right back up to where they were supposed to be, and then I put another stitch plate into it. So, but on here, you know, and that could be some of the issue here, but we're trying to bridge this up. If I can get this to look right and appropriate, then we'll be okay. I just want to make it look more presentable than what it is, you know. And then some of it, if it's like this one, you would think it's a little high, but it really isn't. There's a dip right here. So when we bridge all that up, it just looks smoother, it looks cleaner, it looks professional. That's what we do here. So, you know, people don't come all this way for us, you know, to get half-ass work. That's for sure. They can get that locally. So we're moving forward. Right, this here would be the passenger side, and this is the driver's side. We already got the driver's side already glued and set. This is the passenger side we're doing now. So what we got is some wires up there. A lot of guys don't like to be on YouTube, so I don't want to get them in there. But so now we're just gonna slip them through. We've got the wires that need to be slipped through the sheet, and then we'll roll it back out, and we get the big roll around. We can see all our strips. You can see all the new shoulders we made too. We had all these nice new shoulders on both sides. The other ones, we just couldn't work with them. They were just too squirrely. It typically happens that way. And then when we got the shoulder on, and we started trying to, it was all warping out, and it was just making a mess. So we just said, the heck with it. So, all right, we're going to finish rolling. Man, look at those raunchy socks. How long have you had those?
I just got them.
Really? Man, you know you're supposed to put them in a shoe, right? Well, I'll take this big roller, and we're going to go up that way, down this way, up that way. See how he's going this way? Yeah, he's one of them there slow learners. Go down the center first and just back her down, and then work your way to the sides, and we shall get it. But that's what we're going to do. That's a 110-pound roller. We want to make sure this thing is stuckified. I think that's a real word, stuckified. Yeah, there's nothing more than that. A few more times. Probably don't need a video of the whole thing, but that's what we're gonna do. But and then like I was telling you about the shoulders over here. See, we got new shoulders. We got new shoulders on here too, all new shoulders. They needed it. It was bad. Like I said, when we put them on here, they were kind of wonky. I didn't like that, bubbling out. They just would not sit right. They're cheap anyways. They were really low budget aluminum, and you just can't get it to sit right. This is a heavier gauge. All right, cool. Well, that's what he's doing. Gonna roll it down, cut the curbs out, yada yada yada. We got solar going on here, a whole bunch of stuff. Big old mobile suites ready to hit the road. So we got our logo on here. It just helps us keep track of when we put the roof on, so when it comes in for inspections, we can see it. And got 2 licks of caulking all the way down the side. You can see how much they put on there with all that guide core or whatever it was, that self-leveling, and it just looks like a hot mess. I mean, we got nice clean strikes going down this thing. It looks really, really good. So obviously we got our air conditioners all put on here, counter flashing up in the front. That's what those are. A couple of stands in the back. Just gives us some balance. And then up underneath here is a foam gasket. So the purpose of this counter flashing is when the rain comes down this way, we have a piece of counter flash up underneath there that we build into the curb. So the purpose is this counter flashing off of the air conditioner goes below our counter flashing on the curb, so all the water will get directed away, and it's not going to get up into that foam gasket. They're all like that. All of these air conditioners are like that. So then we also put some solar on, and we got one of the panels were broke, so we just left the studs. He's going to have to put that one on himself. Now we'll install them. We'll do all of that. We don't do any wiring whatsoever on these things at all. We don't do any wiring. I'll drop wires for them. I'll drop wires for folks if I can get at them to drop wires in. We do all that. And but in regards to actually hooking them up or hooking any power, we don't do any of that at all. So we even made a curb for the satellite dish right there. We get that all squared away. Those are the solar wires that are on the top there. So we'll bring them down and put a zip tie on that. And then I'll show you what all that is in a minute here. I'll walk around. But you see the same on this air conditioner, same feet and everything. And we also moved the antenna. Previously it was back here. We moved it up front so we could make room for the solar, because it was sitting right about underneath this panel. So we just dragged it up front and put it there. And then the way we mount these is we've got some studs that go down into the roof, and then we put them on with 3/8 bolts. So it's not going anywhere. And then in the event that he had an issue, maybe that's failed for whatever reason, all he has to do is undo that coax, take these, those are 9/16 nuts on there, take those off, go inside, get a new one, put it on, but he would have to drill out, the customer will have to drill out the feet on there, because other ones don't come quite that big, so you just have to drill them out and drop it on. So, and also I want to thank the customer for bringing this coach into us. I really appreciate the work. And so the same here, we put a nice couple of clean strikes on here, and then what we tried to do is just make it look a little better coming down here with a color, and it's a little squirrely because of some of the caulking they had on there. We were trying to make it look as best we could. So we also went around the lights on the front here. So we'll go around this other side. This is good about having all the scaffolds like that. You just walk around, All right, so common problem on a lot of these skylights is the condensation. The frost will sit up on the lens. When it sits up on the lens, the sun comes up, and up underneath there's condensation. And that's going to happen like even on your windshield. You'll go on and see your windshield, you'll have frost on there, and you'll have condensation or dew, if you will, on the inside of the windshield as well. So what happens on here though is it'll trickle down on the inside, and then when it gets down, it gets into the ceiling panel up inside there, and then you'll start seeing some damage. You'll also start rotting out the deck. So what I did is I created this as a ventilation system, and that's a solar fan. So you can keep this coach out in the sun. It's not a problem. This is a commercial roof. This is a 60 mil commercial grade TPO. That's its thermoplastic. So everything all heat well together. So there's a trough right here. There's a trough right here. This is just an intake. So what happens is the air gets pulled in, goes through that when the fan kicks on, and it'll pull that air. It'll stay on all day. As long as the sun's hitting that, it'll stay on all day. So if this cap come off, you definitely need to seal this, get some tape on there or something to make sure it's covered up. Get a new bell cap, whatever, because the water will definitely, if it starts raining, obviously, the water will get inside there. So you don't want that to happen. Then inside there, you can see we got a piece of foam, and we put that in there. basically a little filter, if you will. See, I'll pull it out. I put this in here because it's in there pretty good. Come on. My fat fingers can't get in there. Busted my thumb. You see that on my... And probably, there it is. So all it is, I put that in there, and the purpose of that is just to keep the wasps out. I don't have a big old bee's nest or hornet's nest up inside there. So that's why we put that in there. And then that'll, like you said, it'll still provide a flow in there. So that's how this ventilation system works. We've been putting on almost every coach that comes in, virtually every coach that gets them, these here. So, and then like I said, you can see how we mounted these the same way. And when he goes to mount them, all he'll have to do is bolt these on, and then he can bolt them on. And other than that, and then like I said, we got that curve. Now on the center here, we got this rail. And the purpose of that rail right there, that rail, the purpose is so, because he's got to run wires on the driver's side, and he's got to run wires on the passenger side. I really don't like wires just sitting on the roof. So basically all that is so he can zip tie the wires. So when he splices into this, he can go, you know, to the one side to the other and zip tie everything together. And then what he can do is you can drill little pilot holes through this little frame, because you can reach up underneath the side there. You got pretty good thickness there. Just drill a couple of holes maybe on the other side, and you can zip tie those wires up. You just don't want them hanging and sitting on the roof like that, because it may interrupt the water flow. You just don't want it going where it shouldn't go anyways. Let's let it get off the roof. So, but that's the purpose of that little rail on there. So we made that extra for him. And like I said, there's a curb for the satellite right there. We'll get that all in there. So, and those take a while to make. Boy, oh boy, do they take a while to make. That's for sure. So, and that's our this over here. There was a makeshift type. I don't know if it was a makeshift type antenna or something, but he wanted this one on here, so we ran a new wire down. We were able to bring it back down, and it goes all the way down, although it's not quite long enough, so he's going to have to get a connector and connect it up and bring it in to, like, in his cabinet or whatever. But I guess it goes down and around from what, but we didn't have enough, and by the time he was able to get us some new wire, we had already had all this run. So but he wanted to put this on here. So other than that, and then you can see how we got the boots. Boots are all sealed up. Everything's all tight. It's all tight. It's all watertight. You don't have any issues with this. And you look at this system here, and I know on the other side over there, which we're doing, which is that little one over there, you can barely see it, but anyhow, that one over there, it's got a spray-on roof that we're working on. And those, if it worked, I'd be spraying them, but a spray-on roof isn't going to work for you. A spray-on roof, it doesn't solve the problems of, it may put a coat on there, and like again, I'm going to be putting that together. We haven't even started on it yet, but anyhow, you can probably watch that video. But a spray-on roof, it may get that down there, but it doesn't solve the problem of all your transitions, you know, and all of these things. They're still going to leak. They're still going to leak. Actually, I mean, heck, I'm right here anyways. I'll walk over and show you. And this is it here. This is a spray-on roof. And when we did commercial work, I've had sprayers that, you know, $25,000 sprayers. I have no problem buying it if it was going to work, but it just doesn't work. You can see all in the back, like right here on this one. Hey, it's all freed up. That's all freed up. You can see all the caulking they put around here, like this. That's all failed. Even when they sprayed around here, this has failed. Someone put caulking. This part is caulking that they put on there. So all of that stuff has already failed. So I'm not a proponent for it, because it just, again, it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem for the air conditioner being just right on the roof system like it is, and the foam gasket sitting under there, because the gasket's going to fail, and that's how you get leaks. So it doesn't solve that. Look at this one here too. See, so they had to go around a lot of these areas. You can see over there by the antenna. You can see the wire and that other radio antenna over there. You can see all that. So what good is this system? This may be watertight, but you're not really getting water there. You get it through all your penetrations that come through the roof, and that's where you have to have is what it's known as detail, and it has to have flashing, and it has to be put together right. So this plumbing right here and that plumbing right there, you know, I'll go back over here, and you can see like how we do all these boots. Okay, we do all the boots. It makes a big difference. You know, that's going to be all your flashing detail right in here. This isn't going to leak. You know, the same. I know we got a couple of plumbings up there, but you get my point. That's why we don't spray them. If it worked, I'd just buy the sprayer. So I'm not afraid of the cost of the machine. I just don't like the system. It's just not a good system. So, you know, I put on what works best for the situation. So going on that, just because I like TPO, which this is, that doesn't mean I use it for every single thing we do. On a slide out, for instance, like this here, if the slide out fails, we don't use TPO. I make a metal roof up for that. That's the best way to solve that problem for a slide out. So I use the best product that will give the most longevity and, you know, obviously being watertight and so forth. That's what we want. But anyhow, they just keep in mind these aren't DIY videos. We didn't put them together for that. If you get a tip here or there, that's great, but they're not DIY videos. And I know a lot of folks, they try to send us you know, some questions and so forth, and I just don't have the time, honestly, to answer all of them. So at the risk of sound, I'm not trying to sound like I'm too good for it. I'm just too busy for it, is really what it is. And I also don't want to misguide somebody. There's a process to what we do. And even when we did this roof here, you know, there's probably a lot of things in between. We didn't video every single thing we did. You saw us put down and glue down the deck. You saw us do all that. But in regards to all the heat welding and the caulking and how to prep for everything, we don't have all that. It's just time consuming, and there's a lot of steps to it. And those are the things that are going to matter whether it's going to stay watertight or not. But like I said, now I don't know what your project is. And even if you told me, like I said, I certainly don't have the time to go through every single one. And I don't know, you may be looking at something going, hey, it's this. And then if I would look at it and say, no, it's not that type caulking or this, it's another brand or it's another product. And that would make a difference in the prep. So, you know, like I said, I don't want to misguide anybody. Then that's another reason why we don't do that. You know, we tried to help some other guys out. This is going back a long time ago. And they didn't yield good results because they just didn't prep it or weren't holding their mouth right. But one of the other things we did too is we went around the top here with caulking. We want to make sure this was all sealed up. And, you know, we try to do that so this way, you know, we don't have customer calling us up saying, hey, I got a roof leak, and they come back. And it's not really a roof leak. This really wasn't part of our work order, but, you know, we did it anyways just because it's right here in our face. So one of the other things, if you have a mobile suite, if you have one of these, this is a 2017. And we did another 2017, which is on our channel. And one of the issues that we found was if you go in the bathroom, you'll see the shower wall, the actual shower itself, that plastic, if you will, the acrylic wall. Up on the top, there's a ledge right up at the top. It's not sealed. So we sealed it on this one. But the other one, it was the same way. And this guy who owns this one and the other fellow on the other 2017, both of those guys are tall guys. And I'm sure that the water was hitting their shoulders, bouncing onto the actual wall of the coach, and then drooling right behind that shower wall. So we caulked that up for him and got that squared away. So there was a couple other things on the slide out I don't like, but he said he'd take care of that. There's some issues with the tape. I actually can't get in there to show you. But normally we open them up. He said he'd take care of all that. So that's fine. But it needs a little more attention, in my opinion, than just a little bit of tape. But and again, we went along in this one as well. So you also want to watch your stitching on here. If you have this, watch your stitching, because eventually it'll come loose. We did another one, another coach, and the stitching was coming loose, and it actually pulled away. And he thought it was something we did, and I said, no, let me show you what's happening. And we went around to all the other ones. He was like, oh man, he couldn't believe it. But you know, we try to bring all that to everybody's attention, what we run across, so you can get them fixed so they don't rear their ugly heads as they come up. So what this is just a weld point. It has a fish mouth because of the way the roof is. It comes up and then it drops down. That's why you get a couple little burps, because this is a heavy membrane. It's not going to sit perfectly as tight as the thin rubber. It's not going to do that. But what happens on here is when the roofing comes down, it has basically a bubble, a pucker. So we squeeze it all together and I fold it over and I weld it. That's how we do all those. So it's not cut or anything. It's just welded in there. It's like that on the other side too. So some of the other ones, like the reflections, I think Grand Design makes a reflection. Those ones, I almost have to do those in 3 pieces and then weld them all together, because it's a transition. It's so bad, it just would look sour. And but anyhow, let me get off of here. And like I said, I appreciate everybody watching. And again, I want to thank the customer for bringing it to us. Now, we also you got to check your welds on here. So I'm hoping he's watching the video. And we leave them with a care package, and all you have to do in the care package is one of these checker tools. That's what they're called. And you just basically go along and you want to make sure it's pretty tight. You just can put a little pressure on it. You don't have to get two hands on there. Just a little bit of pressure, check all the welds, and then if he noticed something, then we leave him with some product in there where he can get that all squared away. There's some primer in there, and there's some caulking in there that he can take care of all that. But we like to try to show them all that when they come in. You know, we'll show them the care package. And then also at the end of the video here, you'll probably see how to do a quick patch. So in the care package is some tape and also some roofing. We leave a piece of roofing in case a tree branch hits it. If he can't get to us and he has to go somewhere else, then he can have it, say you got a tree branch hit wherever, then he can have it heat welded there, but we also leave him with the tape. So at least he can make a quick repair, and we leave him with some caulking where he can immediately stop that leak right then and there, so it doesn't turn into a big problem. And even if it's raining out, it'll work in the rain. It's great stuff. But then you can patch it. So all that's going to be, you know, on another clip. You know, was doing them all, but I mean, I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again. So, but anyhow, like I said, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Let's see, we got all the coaches that come out with a care package. This is our care package right here. See if I can zoom this in. We got a license plate right here if he wants to put that on. We've got, this is a piece of patch. It's an emergency patch in case he got a tree branch to come down, and if he had to patch it. Now this is a hot patch. This is the one that we would use much like this one around here. It's just the same material, but so that would have to be welded in. However, in an emergency, if you had a hole, and we'll say whatever right here, if you saw it in there, you take this and shove it in that hole, and you go squirt, 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 squirt all around in a circle like that, and load it. Then you squeeze it, it'll bubble up. That's done. This is a moisture cured product. That's what we use. We use all Chemlink products. This is Durlink. That's what we use. So that'll seal it. But then we also left a couple of patches. So the way you want to do your patching, put that there's and roll away. The way you want to do your patching, and we left a couple in here, is you would center it over your hole. Once you get it centered, take a pen and outline this. You want to outline it with a pen. Now you got that, just set that aside. And we left, there's a little bit of primer right here. You're going to need that primer. And I might as well empty everything out of this thing. Here's a brush. So now you want to go beyond the ink line. You want to go beyond that, maybe 3/8 of an inch or so. So you're going to be doing this on your ink line. Then you want to do the whole thing here. So you got all inside the ink line, and then about 3/8 over the ink line. You're going to take your patch. You're going to peel the back. This film will peel right off, and you line it up. And I usually reach up underneath, and then I take my other hand and I kind of pull it this way. It keeps it nice and smooth. Now you've got your ink line there. You got your primer out here. You take your brush again and go over this, just like that. Okay, go over here, because it won't bond to this. That's the purpose of the primer. Nothing's going to bond to the TPO unless it's primed. So once you get that, then you come back with your product, and you can put some caulking around there, and that's going to be a pretty darn good band-aid. Now if the customer really feels he needs to have a hot patch put on it, that's why we left this. We don't want someone to just go to if he can't come back here, we do them for free. If he can't make it here and he's somewhere else, he's like, yeah, that really needs to be put on there, you cannot interchange these materials. So some people think you can take this is a Carlisle membrane right here. Now Carlisle does make a couple other products, but it has to be the same Carlisle product. But you couldn't take, for instance, GAF and put it on there. You couldn't take Genflex and put it on there. You can't do that. They're two totally different companies, and they're two totally different products. I mean, they're still TPO, but it's kind of like Ford and Chevy. Yeah, they're both a car, they're both a truck, but they're not compatible. You're not swapping parts on them. So it may seem like it'll weld on there, and I've had people at supply houses tell me, oh yeah, we don't have any of that, but you can use this. You can't. There's enough chemical imbalance in each product where they're not compatible. So that's why we put that in there, just in case. So you got the primer, you got that, you got the brush, you got some caulking. And then the caulking, we like to see these come back in 30 days, okay? 30 to 60 days for an initial inspection. After that, it's annual. Now, if the customer says, well, you know, I want to inspect it myself, we want them to go along, put a little friction on here, to get it warmed up, and then this is going to stay tight anyways. But in the event he found something, hey, it looks a little loose or whatever, you can put a little bit more primer on there, and you can use that to just give it a little low, especially around the corners. You can go around the corners and everything like that if you had to. So that's why we put all that in there. Let's see, we got a magnet for the, maybe on your hood of your stove. Got a couple of pens here. Got a fancy dancy key tag with a beverage opener. We can't say beer, it's a beverage. So this is a checker tool. So this is used to check the joint, the welds. You go along like this, and if it pops in there and you find a little hole, we'll say there was a tiny bit, if you did, well, that's what you check for. It needs to kind of move a little bit. So if you did, then again, you can take the primer, take a little brush, put it all in there, take the caulking, and you're done. Okay, that'll hold it so we can get a look at it and, you know, make sure everything's all set. But like I said, that's what we like to see. They come back in about 30 days. I like to see them, but 60, all right. But I still want them inspected because I don't want to have a little tiny problem turn into a big problem and then an upset customer. So we got all of that there, and that's, let's see what else we got here. Here is a sample of our product. This is a 60 mil commercial grade. And if you look real hard enough, you can probably see the little, see if I get the angle of this light in here from the shop. You can see these little squares. There's a mesh built into this, which gives it its strength. So that's where it'll resist hail damage. It'll resist tree branches. So it's really hard to poke through this. It truly is. You'd have to have something really hard and sharp to really get it. But if you had a big enough tree branch, that could possibly happen. So we get all that. And then like I said, get another key tag and everything in here. So that's the gist of it. So all the customers, they get these here, and we got an emblem on the back. There's one of our emblems here that we put on the back, and that's about it. So we leave all this with the customer. So Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you know, at least they have all this stuff handy in case of an emergency. So we want to make sure everything stays tight and everything. You got all the products you need, so on. So obviously, if you have any issues, there's a telephone number. 423-475-7663. Keeping all this in mind, these are not intended for DIY. I just simply don't have the time to answer all these DIY questions. And the other thing is, I don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know what you have. I don't know what products are on there. And I have guys ask me all the time, what can I use for this? What can I use for that? And I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction and find out, okay, well, you got silicone on your windows. What can I use to do my windows? Well, you're going to have to dig all that out. You have to dig it all out. Nothing sticks to silicone. Silicone doesn't stick to silicone. So you really got to clean all that out. And if you don't know if you have silicone, and some people don't know the difference, they can't just go up there and feel it and go, yeah, that's silicone, or it's just a urethane, or it's a terpolymer. I mean, there's a bunch of different products out in the market now. But the biggest one is being the silicone. And some products kind of simulate in a touch. So you may think it's silicone, but all that has to be, like you said, it has to be removed. But again, that's why I try not to get into advising, and I just don't want anybody to be upset. But honestly, I really don't have the time at the risk of sounding like a jerk. I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to do a good job. But you can imagine how many emails and we get from with questions, and also questions on our channel. Keeping this in mind as well, we don't quote on social media. If you want a quote on yours, you'd have to give us a call. Again, 423-475-7663. You can do that, and then you can send us an email even if you wanted to at contactus@rvroofinstall.com. So that's about it. Everything's done. I think the customer just showed up, so we're going to get him coupled up here, and he may want to take a glance at the roof, and otherwise we're good to go. So we appreciate y'all watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. What that does, from what I understand from the algorithms, what it does is if somebody's looking for information on RV roofs, then this video or other videos will pop up. That's what I'm guessing. So if you want to subscribe, well, we put these up pretty often. You can go through a lot of the other videos we have. Some I'm trying to think of some really good ones that we did that were just a hot mess. There's a Georgetown we did, I think a couple years ago. That Georgetown, we did the whole ceiling, took the whole ceiling and roof out and rebuilt that whole entire thing. There's a Montana that's up there. There's a earlier from years ago, maybe 5 years ago, there is a Siesta, and that was roof we did, and the guy who did that roof put two roofs on, put the first one on, messed it up, put the second one on, messed it up, And you'll see that hot mess they did. They did not know what they're doing. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of guys out here on YouTube that'll say, hey, yeah, you can do this, you can do that. There's a couple of so-called experts that are out there, and I watched one of their videos, or a few of them, and I just shake my head because I know things are going to leak. And I know some of the stuff they've done, they have to have leaked, because there's just no way things go together like that. So if they're not, I don't think they mention that, but on their video, I haven't seen mention, hey, yeah, we had a leak, we had to fix it. But you know, if we have any issues, obviously we want the customer to come back immediately, and let's stifle any leaks at all. But you know, that's like almost unheard of. And I'll be honest with you, some of the biggest problems we've had are with these skylights, with them fracturing, and that's why we do them differently. Some of these ones, like I said, they're manufacturer's defects on a lot of them. But that being said, especially if you had a cambered roof, if you had a roof that had just a little bit of a camber, that wants to lay down flat, like just a flat piece of glass. And if you just make this end tighter and that a little tighter, now it's got that little stress going on it, and it only needs a little bit of stress to crack it. So that's one reason why we don't put any screws in them anymore. So, and if they come back for inspection, we take all the screws out, and then what we'll do is just load them, because the product that we use underneath there, it's not coming up. It won't come up. If you have to replace that, you're going to have to rip up that whole entire lens, and you're going to have to. It's not coming up. So, well, anyhow, like I said, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you on the next one.